All right, guys, this is Arcade Time Capsule version 3.5. I've shown this before in the past, maybe about a year ago. It was on version 2 point something or other at that point. But they've added a whole new floor or room or a whole new arcade area, if you will, with a whole bunch of new arcade games. So we're going to check that out. If you've never seen this before, this is basically a passion project. Most of the work is done by pretty much one person with help from a few others. I'm not going to go into all the details there. I will have the link in the description for the Discord, so you can go to the Discord if you want to learn a little bit more about this, and of course, download it and try it for yourself. This is completely free. So running the Unreal Engine, you will need a compatible VR headset and a compatible controller if you want to play any of the games, because yes, of course, you can play any of these games. It's basically like a MAME emulator running in the background that will let you play any of these games. So, as you can see, we got lots of atmosphere and lots of cool retro arcade machines, but before we look around here, we're going to take a look over here, because in here, as you can see, we got a bunch of these like Candy Cab, Astro City cabinets. Most of these are going to be the kind of vertical shooters, and to be honest, not really my cup of tea. So I don't want to spend too much time in here, but we will just take a quick look if there's any games that you recognize and you wanted to know if they were in here. I guess I'll show you here. So very quickly, we will take a look through here. But again, most of these games not my cup of tea. Now we can see some fighting games, and as we saw, Metal Slug over here. So I'm definitely down for some Metal Slug, and probably some of these other games too. But a lot of the vertical shooters, not really my cup of tea. And just this room in general. I mean, all these games, they all look the same. As cool as the Candy Cabs are, they all look the same in here. So it's a little bit less interesting in this room. So that's kind of nice. They're in their own little room. But this is really what I'm here for. Hello. And again, some of these machines, like I think X-Men, you might have seen in one of the previous rooms when I showed this off before. But there is multiple rooms here. So we got, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Every one of these is like a whole new room, a whole new arcade, if you will, with different games. So I've shown you the Pasadena before. There's the big. It's like the big. I was gonna say 4-player, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-player X-Men with the dual CRTs side by side. But yeah, so I've shown you this room before. So we're not here to look at that. We're here to look at this. So I'll go back to the second floor here, and we'll take a look at these. I will try not to take too long, because I could talk about every arcade machine and really just kind of like really get a good look at every arcade cabinet, but this video would be way too long, so I'll try and keep it quick. But again, this is a passion project. It's free to download. Most of this work is done by one person, and the amount of detail that is put into each and every one of these cabinets, as I just hit my monitor or something there, the amount of detail that's put into each one of these cabinets is unreal. Every cabinet has like a little bit of, damage or scuffs or scratches, and you can really get up close and really look at every aspect. You can read, copyright 1983 Sega. It's really insane, the amount of detail and how good these cabinets and all the assets look. But I got to be honest, I'm not. I was born in '81. I maybe went into an arcade, once in a while in the late '80s. It wasn't really until the early to mid 90s where I was old enough to say get on a bus and go downtown and go into an arcade. And that did happen once in a while. But even then, I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that all the time I went to the arcade, I was hanging out in the arcades. That's not true. Going to an arcade was something that maybe twice a year I would get to do. And there would be times where even if I got to go to an arcade, I didn't have any money on me. I just never had disposable income, or I don't know why I would say disposable income. I was 10. I didn't have allowance money per se, at least not enough extra to go to an arcade. And if I did happen to go to an arcade, and I did happen to have a little bit of money on me, which again, yes, this happened once in a while. Even in the early to mid 90s, if I was 10, 12, 14, and I walked into an arcade and they had some of the retro stuff, some of the stuff from the late 70s and the 80s, I would have been drawn to the Street Fighter 2 or the X-Men or the Ninja Turtles or the Terminator 2. And so, what little money I might have had, the few times I went to arcades, I played games like that. So I do remember, for example, playing X-Men in the arcades back in the mid 90s. But a lot of these older games, I'm not going to be familiar with. So even like Congo Bongo, I've heard of before, but I've never necessarily played it before. And Star Trek, I had no idea that Sega, published a Star Trek, arcade machine, and it's vector graphics. Look at that, Sega vector graphics. Again, I've never seen this before. Didn't even know this was a thing that existed. So yeah, strategic operations simulator. Sounds pretty serious for an arcade game. Hopefully they tried to keep it as simple as possible, but yeah, with those vector graphics going on there. Copyright 1983. Look at how clear that is. It's crystal clear. The artwork on that bezel. It's just insane. Again, the amount of detail. I'll stop talking about it because I could go on forever looking at every arcade cabinet and every little detail, every little scratch. Phoenix. I played the Atari 2600 version. Didn't even realize it was an arcade cabinet originally. And, Time Pilot. I've never heard of this before. Clearly, it's the same, I want to say publisher or developer when it comes to arcade cabinets. Is it called a publisher? Whoever even really just made the cabinet, I guess. It's clearly the same style cabinet. So as you can see, some of these machines are together because they're the same company or they're the same cabinet. But yeah, never heard of this game before. I do want to point out that is a B-1B Lancer. And then some old World War I biplane. Interesting. Okay. Anyways, Missile Command. This is really cool to see in here because I was just at a local arcade and I saw and actually played a Missile Command cabinet for the first time. Maybe not the first time in my life that I've ever seen one, because again, in the late 80s, early 90s, the times that I was in an arcade, I'm pretty sure I saw one of these, but it just didn't catch my attention because I was too busy looking at Pit Fighter because of the graphics, or The Simpsons or Terminator 2. This wouldn't have just grabbed my attention, 10-year-old me or 12-year-old me. But I think I've probably seen one before, but never played one again until literally just like a week ago. I was at an arcade and they had one, and it was in really good shape, and it's really cool to see it here because yeah, from what I remember, is exactly what it looked like, and the scale and everything seems pretty much right. I'm just a little bit as tall as some of these taller machines, a little bit taller than some of the shorter ones. Of course, now the height of me is going to be dependent on my VR headset being set up properly, and it's been a while since I've done the floor setup and everything, so it might not be 100% correct, but pretty close. And again, it's just really about the scale and the fact these feel life size in front of me. These look like something I could touch, and of course, that's the beauty of VR. Seeing this in 3D, you're not seeing it in 3D, but I think you get the point there. Frogger. I don't honestly, I can't say I remember ever seeing a Frogger cabinet in real life. Now, again, maybe I have, but certainly never played one. And to see it here, and you got the tire tracks that run right through behind the bezel there, and the little frog feet. Cool, very cool. And burger time. I mean, look at this one. Such a unique cabinet, and that the shape of it, is customized to the game. So again, the attention to detail, the T molding being different, and just all the assets, all the art, everything is just perfect. Wow. So yeah, I got a little bar back here with some drinks. You got, looks like, some non-alcoholic. You got your Coke and your Pepsi on the left there, and we got our Heineken and our Fosters in the middle there. So yeah, again, really not necessary, but nice to see some extra little attention to details in here. Some random Donkey Kong artwork. Okay. So yeah, obviously a lot of machines here. So I think I'm just going to start. I'm going to go around the outside so we don't miss anything. All right. So again, a lot of these I'm not familiar with, never seen before, never played before, including Black Widow here. As we can see, this is an Atari game. Kind of looks a little bit like Tempest, which is another game that at this local arcade I was at last week, I not only saw but played for the first time ever. So I'd never played a Tempest arcade machine until just recently. This kind of looks like Tempest. It's got the same kind of vector graphics going on, but it doesn't use the same little spinner as we can see there. So yeah, very cool. Crystal Castles, again, the attention to detail, a very unique cabinet, very unique bezel thing going on there. And even the little track ball is lighting up, which I got to assume the real one does that. As you can see here, we have Universal. We got 4 arcade cabinets that are of the same style. So Cosmic Alien, never heard of it before. Mr. Dew's Castle. Heard of Mr. Dew? I think I've heard of Mr. Dew's Castle, but never played that game before. Ladybug, heard of it before. I played like home computer versions of it. It was on the Tandy Color computer that had a version of this game. That might be the only version of this game that I've ever played. But yeah, these all have a really neat kind of like a second marquee that's even bigger and also lit up. Very cool. And there's Mr. Dew. Again, honestly, heard of the game obviously, but never. I don't think I've ever played it before. So yeah. Yeah, Stern. We got a bunch of Stern now. Again, never heard of it, never seen this before. The game is just called The End. Very strange name, but yeah, again, attention to detail. All the artwork on these is pretty amazing. We got Scramble, which I think this is kind of like a Defender. I could be wrong. Maybe we'll see in a second here with the Attract. Now, again, you don't need to download the ROMs to see the Attract mode. If you just download the zip file from the Discord, it's like a Google Drive link, unzip it and run it. This is what you will get. You will be able to see all the Attract modes for the games. You just won't be able to play the game unless you have the ROM file for the game. So, yeah, there we go. Super Cobra, and yeah, Cobra attack helicopter, I guess. So this definitely looks like a bit of a kind of a Defender style of game. I kind of already forget what that looked like. I wasn't paying attention to the game. Oh, there we go. I guess looks like you probably can't turn around and go backwards, whereas in a helicopter you would be able. I'm assuming you can maybe turn around and go back, or maybe it's always scrolling forward. Not sure. Again, kind of looks a bit like maybe a Defender kind of a game there. Berserk, heard of, played the, geez, I don't even know. Was that on Atari 7800 or 5200? Probably on Atari 5200 with those analog controllers. I know I played a version of this game before, but again, certainly never the arcade version before. And then Frenzy, which looks very similar, so I'm assuming that is the sequel. The rooms look a little bit more complicated, but it basically looks like the same game there. Okay. Now here's something I'm a little more familiar with. It's getting a little bit newer here with 1942. This has got to be early 80s. Oh, 1984. I was going to say 1983. Pretty close. Capcom. But yeah, I played the NES version of this quite a bit. So yeah, familiar with it from the NES. Of course, you got your fire and your loop button there. And again, the attention to detail is just superb. Gunsmoke. I think I've played the NES version before, but never seen the arcade cabinet before. Again, attention to detail is amazing. And look at that. You got shoot left, center, and right. Okay, and what looks like an 8-directional joystick. So do you shoot like 90 degrees to the left and right, or do you shoot on like a 45-degree angle? I would think you would shoot on an angle. And is it based on the direction that you're moving? Huh. 1985, eh? Quite the graphical improvement there from 1984 to 1985. Look at a lot of the artwork there. That's pretty impressive for 1985, I would say. Cool. And a Data East game, Breakthrough. Absolutely never heard of this one before. Like a side-scrolling, I can't think of that game right now. Wow. You know the game I'm talking about, where you're in the car and you're shooting and it's but it's vertical instead of side-scrolling. Yeah, anyways, I'll shut up now. We got a pool table. We got some kind of video wall thing going on there, and I don't know if it's playing just clips from different movies. Again, that's not something I did. That's just how it comes. So we'll take a look over here. We got some more games over here. Midnight Resistance. Was there a version of this on the Sega Genesis? It looks vaguely familiar, but again, certainly never played the arcade version. They got some weird looking joysticks on them. Those almost look like they're supposed to rotate. I'm not saying that they do, or maybe they don't. Maybe they do. Maybe they do. I don't know, but they certainly kind of look like they should rotate. Or maybe in certain games they use the same joystick, but it just rotates. Huh. I'm looking at the jets there. Cool artwork. Looks familiar. I want to say there's a version of that on the Sega Genesis. And Heavy Barrel. This one's vertical, yet side-scrolling, which is interesting. And yeah, 2-player at once. It looks like you can shoot in different directions. Can you shoot in different directions from what you're facing or moving? Maybe not. But again, yeah, it has those same joysticks that look like they would rotate. Alright, anyways, what do we got going on over here? We've got, just kind of figure out where my desk is as I've been moving around a bit here. Let me just readjust myself. Okay, so Crime Fighters? Yeah, Konami, okay. I thought we were still on Data East, maybe? I have never heard of this game before, but it's 4-player simultaneous, and yeah, I mean, small sprites for a beat 'em up, but I'm assuming is this pre-Final Fight? Or is it just because it was 4-player, so you could fit more characters on the screen at a time with them being smaller? because the smaller sprites makes me think it's older than Final Fight. Once Final Fight came out, the big sprites was in. Huh. But yeah, obviously, again, never heard of that game before. So okay, still going around the outside here. And again, what's playing on the video wall? No idea what that is. But yeah, I don't know if you can change what that's playing. If there's like a folder somewhere you can put your own video files in. No idea. Again, it's just how it came. An empty room over here. Interesting. And the real Ghostbusters, Data East. Again, certainly never seen this one before, and it's 3 players. Well, that makes sense. Although there was technically 4 Ghostbusters, wasn't there? And alright, more Data East. Ocean and Orion RoboCop. Played a RoboCop game on either the Commodore 64 or the Amstrad. Well, the Amstrad CPC, I guess. This kind of looks. Yeah, it looks all right. Some parallax scrolling there in the background. So when did this come out? 1988. And again, the fact you can read that is amazing. The detail and clarity is again just top notch. And then we got Bad Dudes, which kind of looks pretty similar, eh? Like both Data East, same generation, same cabinets. Yep, same cabinet. So probably came out pretty much around the same time. Nice. Bad Dudes versus Dragon Ninja. Can't remember if I've ever played this game before. Was it on the NES? Was there an NES version of Bad Dudes? Can't remember. Michael Jackson, Moonwalker. Was not expecting to see that one. Never played the arcade version, obviously just the Sega Genesis version. And it was also 3 players. So you can have like 3 Michael Jacksons, but different eras or different costumes. Yeah, look at that. 3 players at once. Cool. I did remember that the arcade version was quite different than the Genesis version with the isometric view there. But yeah, I never played this game before, so cool. Copyright 1990. Cowboys of Moo Mesa. I remember that cartoon. I did not know it got an arcade game. Kind of looks like a Simpsons arcade game cabinet. 4 players simultaneously. And it is Konami. When did this come out? Well, it's very small on there. I might not be able to read that. I'll have to get as close as I can get to the machine. And I have to literally lean forward. And what the fuck just happened? Oh, come on, seriously? You gonna do this to me right now? Nope. What the fuck are you doing? What are you doing here? What's going on? Please let us back in. Thank you. I went out of my virtual room there, I guess, so I'm not trying that again. I'm glad it's hopefully still recording and everything. Killer Instinct 2, I almost forgot that even existed. Killer Instinct, on the other hand, I remember that one. Although, honestly, again, probably never played it in the arcade. I did play it on the Super Nintendo. I owned Killer Instinct on the Super Nintendo back in the day. That was a late Super Nintendo release. And, yeah, I don't know. I had this classmate in high school that drove to the U.S., bought this game when he was in the U.S., came back, and literally the same day or the next day, he's like, do you want to buy it? I don't know. I guess he didn't like it. But yeah, I bought Killer Instinct for a very, very good price. Uh, Pretty shortly after it came out, but again, it was a late release for the Super Nintendo. Okay, we got Mortal Kombat 3, Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, then Mortal Kombat 3, then Mortal Kombat 2, and then Mortal Kombat. So when I was growing up, I lived near a Jumbo Video, and beside that Jumbo Video, there was a pizza. Yes, a pizza. Yeah. Okay, it wasn't a Little Caesars, wasn't a Domino's. It was a pizza. And I would go there every once in a while to get like a slice of pizza. They had like the big slice and a can of pop kind of a thing. And they had a Mortal Kombat arcade cabinet in there for a while. So I certainly remember that there, and certainly did play this one in the arcades. Possibly played Mortal Kombat 2 on the arcade. Definitely played Mortal Kombat 1 in the arcade. But yeah. Nice. Street Fighter 2. Yep, definitely played this one in the arcade. I remember when this came out, my cousin was like going on about this. He's like, "You've got to see this game." And then my grandma took me and my cousin to a casino, and they had this there. So, and there's a casino in the background. So the Circle of Life or something. Yeah. So, we're only about halfway through now. We got to do all the center, so kind of just we'll go in circles here around each one. But yeah, Robotron. I played that on Atari, I think, but yeah, obviously a very different game there. So that's vector graphics too, eh? Is that? You've got like filled in triangles, and that's not vector based, but the text looks vector based. Like a hybrid thing going on there, isn't it? Like that the outside. So this looks like all vector based except the sprites. The sprites, if you will. Interesting. It's a game that's like sprites and vector based in one. Didn't even know that could be a thing on the CRT, like the way interesting. That's very different. Okay, we got Tapper, Budweiser, not root beer. Oh, look at that. They look like little, what are those things called? The Steins or whatever? Is that what they're called? Huh. Serve and pour. Yeah, I've played like similar games. I can't even remember where, but I don't think I've ever played the arcade game. It got lots of shiny, like almost gold on that. And again, you can almost see like fingerprints and all the little scratches and everything. Oh, even down there, like a bar, it's got like a little footrest thing there, and that's gold. Beautiful. Nice. All right. What is that? I can't even... Tutankhamun? Tutankhamun? Okay, yeah, never, obviously never heard of that one before. And Pooyan? Okay, we got the three little pigs and the big bad wolf. Wow, look at that. Konami 1982. Huh, yeah. Yeah, never seen this before, never heard of this before. It probably goes without saying. It kind of reminds me of one of the Game & Watch games. Well, I don't know. Not really. Just a simple concept. Huh. So you want to pop their balloons so they die. Because if they don't die, they'll get to the bottom and then they'll The fuck? They look like little egg people. It's supposed to be the pigs. Those are the pigs. Yeah, okay. Got the little piggies in their house at the bottom, and you don't want the wolf guys to get to the bottom, so you gotta pop their balloons so they die a painful death. Interesting. Right. Okay. So here we got a centipede. Okay. Trackball game. Yeah, I got the same buttons as those same little red buttons as Missile Command, and also with a trackball, but a much smaller trackball. The trackball on Missile Command is huge, and I can verify that because again, had just played one in person, in real life for the first time. And yeah, it was a very large and heavy, very weighted trackball. But yeah, copyright 1980. Wow. Nice. Okay. Marble Madness. 2 trackballs. I played this on the NES. But yeah, never seen the arcade version before. Copyright 1984. Wow. Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Look at this cabinet. These are just like really generic Atari cabinets. No side art for the game. And yeah, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Any year on that? Well, again, we got the same issue where it's so small I have to get really close. But it can actually read that. 1985, Lucasfilm Limited and Atari Games Corporation. All rights reserved. The fact you can read that says it all about the goddamn attention to detail put into this, as I've said many times. What do you have? Just a joystick and a whip button, eh? But 2 whip buttons. And Roadrunner. Again, look at that. It's the same setup with the hop button on either side. Just like where the whip buttons are on that one. Very far spread out. Huh. Copyright 1985. Some similar people that worked on it. Similar looking credits screen there. Yeah, and obviously the same cabinet. So, yep. And we already did Robotron. Okay, so we got X-Men here, but it's just a 4-player single CRT version. So in one of the other rooms, we had the 6-player dual CRT, which I do remember playing that back in the day, in the mid-90s. There's like a fairground where we have like a yearly fair, and there was an arcade there, and then it had the dual CRT version. I do remember playing that with my friends in probably like 93 or 94. When did this game come out? Oh, 1992. Okay, yeah. 1992. Yeah, really nice looking bezel marquee there. And nice. Very nice. Okay. Commando. Data East. Yeah, I played Commando on the Commodore 64. But yeah, copyright 1985 there. Developed by Capcom. And Kung Fu Master. Copyright 1984, IRIM. So basically Kung Fu on the NES, right? Yeah, absolutely. Graphics look a little bit better than the NES version. And this came out in 85, right? The NES version probably came out on the Famicom around the same time, so it was an early arcade port. Circus Charlie. Nice looking cabinet. Very upright. Yeah, not a lot of depth here. This doesn't stick out very far, and almost a vertical screen again. Well, not quite vertical. Yeah. Huh. Yeah, don't think I've ever played this game. It's kind of like Circus on Atari, though? Not really. No. Okay. Space Invaders. Ooh, look at that. I do think I've played Space Invaders in the arcade. I know it has this unique screen system where you're basically looking at a mirror. Some arcades did that back in the Terminator 2, the arcade game I remember did that, where the CRT was like down in here pointing up towards a mirror, and you would have a mirror in there. And it looks like they're using, are they just using a black and white CRT? Maybe with color filters? How are they doing the color there? Yeah, because see how the projectiles, when they fall, they turn green when they get into that area? So I'm assuming it's a black and white. I'm assuming it's a black and white CRT with a color filter over it, and that's shining on the mirror or reflecting on the mirror. And then yeah, they've still got that artwork behind the mirror because there's depth to that that I see just by moving around. And that's clearly like got a couple different light sources lighting up, a little bit of glow on the moon, and then behind that, that's like a slightly curved piece of artwork with a light behind the moon. Very cool. Again, I'm pretty sure I played a Space Invaders arcade cabinet, and that might have been at Cedar Point. I used to go to Cedar Point, Ohio a lot. They had a pretty good arcade there with some older machines. Yeah. Nice. Very, very cool. Very cool. When did this come out? It was the late 70s, I know that. 1978. Look at that, though, eh? Copyright Midway Manufacturing Co. 1978. Again, the attention to detail, the artwork on the glass, where it's semi-transparent and lit up at the top. Just everything looks so fucking cool. And you know what I haven't mentioned? Look at the reflections. Look at the reflections on the glass. I can see the games that are behind me. Right? I can see Mr. Do and Ladybug. Yeah. So yeah, I didn't even mention that. I noticed that when I was looking at Black Widow, I believe it was, where I could notice the Space Invaders behind me. Right? Again, this is Unreal Engine, and I'm sure they had to bake that with like some sort of a, what would you call that? The cube map? Is that a cube map? Is that what that is? So, it's not real-time ray traced reflections. If that arcade if I could somehow knock it over, it's not gonna fall over. It's not a true reflection, right? It's just a picture of that put in that. It's like a cube map. It's a pre-rendered, baked cube map, but it's still really cool to be able to be playing this and seeing the reflection of the games behind you. Now they're static, right? So like that Centipede, playing through its attract mode, when we see Centipede in the reflection there, it's just static. So again, they're just pre-baked, pre-rendered cube maps, but it's still really cool nonetheless, right? And that's just like, you just notice that just at a glance on a lot of these with the reflective glass, on there. It's very, very cool. Okay. So, we haven't done, yeah, so we were here. So Three Stooges, I had no idea that was an arcade cabinet. Played the NES game. I have no idea if this is even similar to the NES game, but yeah, again, 3 players at once, which we've seen quite a lot of arcade games that are 3 players at once. Which I certainly remember seeing that, but you know, it's maybe more common than I realized. Crawl? Huh. Interesting. Yeah, not familiar with it, never played it. And Juno First. Again, not familiar with it. Same cabinet. 1983. Got a neat little like scrolling depth kind of thing going on, just using dots. Okay. Yep. Never seen it, never heard of it before, so not familiar with. Again, not familiar with most of the games in here. Kangaroo, Atari. Copyright 1982. Nice. Early action platformer kind of a thing there going on. Little bit of Popeye or Donkey Kong. Is that fair to say? 1982? Yeah. Dig Dug, of course. Have played that in the arcade, although it was a cocktail style of cabinet. So I went camping in the mid-90s. I went camping at this place, and they had like an indoor spot where you could get like, you know, burgers and fries and milkshakes. That's all I remember, was drinking lots of milkshakes. And they had, I don't even remember if they had more than one game. I just remembered they had a like a sit-down cocktail version of Dig Dug. So I do remember playing Dig Dug. Speaking of playing Dig Dug, can we play Dig Dug? So I have to grab my, figure out where I am in my room here. Where's my computer desk at? Wow, I'm like way... So here's, I got an Xbox controller in my hands right now. Which it may have shut off because we weren't using it. So I might have to turn on the Xbox controller. And hopefully... Oh, yep. Z80 and some other three Z80s in here. And then 2 more of some other processor. Is that really what that 3 Z80 processors in here to make Dig Dug run? Oh, there we go. So select is adding credits. I was pressing start. So, okay, well I guess that makes sense. Select's gonna add credits and then start's gonna be start. Alright. I can use the D-pad or the analog stick. Oh yeah. Oh. And that's the end of me. Now, I don't know how to... So like right now we're quote unquote like paying attention to this game. So I don't know how to... Let me put my Xbox controller down. And then, so I'm gonna put my Xbox controller down there. And then, I think on here, nope, we don't want to do that. Exit game? I don't think we want to do shut down active game. Yeah, exit, that's exiting the whole program, so we don't want to do that. So shut down active game. That's gone back to the attract mode, and now we can continue on. So there, I've shown you how to play a game. Any, I think, X input controller should just work. So again, I just grabbed my Xbox controller. There's an Xbox Series controller. I don't know if it matters. It shouldn't matter. Yeah, I don't know about D input. X input for sure works though. So again, I just turned on the Xbox controller and it worked. So again, nothing has been set up. This was downloaded. Some of the ROMs for the games that I wanted to play were put in their corresponding folders, and then that's it. Turned on my Xbox controller and it just worked there. So Arabian, Atari. Got the same setup. Well, not quite. Those buttons aren't quite as far apart as they were on... oh, and it's got these 2 extra red buttons. So those red buttons were those little tiny red buttons that light up, which I noticed on Missile Command, playing that the other week. Yeah, I guess those were fairly common in some of these older games there. I was trying to get manufactured under license. Actually, the artwork is like slightly under the wood trim there. But look at the little smudges on that, and the grain of the wood. It's just, again, the attention to detail is just insane. Alright, what else do we got here? Caveman Ninja, Dead East. This is obviously like the Joe and Mac or the Cave... why can't I think of the name on the Super Nintendo? Caveman Dudes, or just Joe and Mac? Yeah, anyways, I played this on PC back in the early 90s. I had a version of this on PC, and yeah, I remember it being a pain in the ass to get it to run for some reason. Maybe it needed a lot of conventional memory, and I didn't have enough conventional memory free, and then trying to get it work with a controller. I had a game port controller. I don't know. I seem to remember having a lot of issues with this game, but I do believe I did get it running eventually. RoboCop 2. So interesting that RoboCop 2 is not beside RoboCop 1, and maybe just put Ghostbusters here instead. But whatever. It looks like the same cabinet and everything. It's got this rounded marquee thing. And Out Zone. Huh. Again, never heard of it. It looks pretty, the graphics look really good. When did this game come out? I don't see any copyrights. No. There's nothing on there. Although on one of the games we saw it down here, didn't we? But yeah, I don't see anything there. Well, there you go, 1990. 720 degrees? Oh, this is a weird looking cabinet. It's so narrow at the bottom. And then like the monitor CRT portion is like the normal width, and it's like it's sitting on top. And then you've got like a boom box. A ghetto blaster. Got a ghetto blaster on top there. Copyright, I think that says 1986 Atari. Yeah, certainly never heard of this one again. Certainly never heard of this one before. So I have no idea what this is going to be about. Do 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 do. Okay, it's a skateboarding game. with isometric graphics that almost looked like Marble Madness. The graphics almost remind me of Marble Madness. Same hardware, perhaps? Huh. Anyways, I think this is the last little bit of arcade games, right? Okay, so we got a Q*bert. And then we got Q*bert cubes. Huh. I don't know if I've ever seen this one before. There are no action buttons, it's just the joystick. Karate Champ. Pengu, not Pingu. Pengu? Pengo. Copyright 1982 Sega. It sounds familiar and it looks vaguely familiar, but it's gonna be like a. Okay, what? I expected almost like a Donkey Kong style level, and then you could like make ice cubes and then throw the ice cubes at the bad guys. Okay, yeah. Okay, I've seen this before, but not really familiar. Not really that familiar with it. I don't think I've ever played it. And what does that say? Gravatar? I was gonna say Gravitron. Gravatar. Nice. Vector. We got a flunky list. I thought that was gonna say funky list. Oh, look at that. Vector graphics going off there. Huh. Rotate left, rotate right, thrust, fire, and shields. Tractor shield. Oh, wow. That looks like that could be a handful. Track and field. Gyrus? Oh, that's a really cool looking arcade cabinet, isn't it? Got like a fairly small CRT in vertical mode. And the way it's recessed there is cool. And then the controls are recessed too. So it looks like you can rotate that. Okay, yeah. That game's on NES, isn't it? I'm pretty sure I played that game on NES. Although there might be a Konami game that's very similar. Zaxxon, Sega. Played this on something, but not the arcade. Oh wow, I wasn't expecting that. Got like a flight stick thing, and you pull back to go higher elevation, so that makes sense. Oh, wow. I don't have the ROM installed for this one. I do want to play that. The coin return buttons look really nice, the way they're lit up. I mean, I guess they are on all of them, but I don't know why this one's the two little separate, tight, like smaller coin mechanisms on the wood. I guess just stands out really nicely. And yeah, we're back to Q*bert. So yeah, I think height-wise, I think that's pretty accurate. Now we did have to redo that in the middle of this video. And I remember when we first were looking at some of these, they're pretty close to my height. So yeah, we are pretty accurate there. That's pretty close to my height. So yeah, that seems right. Yeah. Again, the scale and everything in VR is something else. If you've never used VR, it's again, it's really cool to just stand in front of something and almost look like you can touch it, and again, the scale of it all, right? But yeah, so I guess that's it, guys. This is, again, link in the description. This is free to download from the Discord. If you're interested in a little bit more who's behind this, definitely check out the Discord. Again, I don't know names off hand, but yeah, I guess that's it. This video is probably longer than expected, and I was saying I was going to try and keep it short. But yeah, there's a lot to see here. And again, if you're new to this in general, so quickly show, so level 1, and it feels like we're too, there we go. There we go. So yeah, this is level 1, and you can see Ninja Turtles. This one I believe I have the ROM installed for, so we could play Ninja Turtles. I'm guessing I'm going to do that right now. But we got the Simpsons arcade game in there. I do believe I have the ROM installed for that one if you wanted to play that one. Bucky O'Hare. So a little bit, some newer games in here. We got some more Candy Cabs or Astro City cabs in here. And then 4th level is just more Astro cabs by the looks of it. the old Pepsi. Oh, that is so cool. That is nice. I've seen this before, but it's been a while since I've used this with some of these older rooms. Where were we? Here we go. 5th level is okay. So we got a Street Fighter 2 cabinet in here, but I think that is a different looking Street Fighter 2 cabinet than the first one that we saw there. Thunder Fox, Batman, Ghouls and Ghosts, the Pepsi machine again, Legendary Wings, Shinobi, Bionic Commando as Street Fighter. (1943) Strider, Altered Beast. So yeah, more Sega machines in here. Golden Axe, Final Fight. Okay. 6th level is looks like all Candy Cab, Astro City cabs again. So there's a lot of these in here. There's wow. I mean, at this point, there's just a lot of games in general in here, isn't there? And to think these are just all playable, and this is free. Gotta provide the ROMs though, guys. Like I said, you've gotta supply the ROM files for the games that you want to play. And then 2nd floor is the new floor. That's where we started. And I quickly showed Pasadena before, but again, this was kind of the main attraction, the main floor before this new 2nd floor has been added, in that it has just the most atmosphere, as if you're in a real arcade. I believe this one is based on a real arcade, if I recall correctly anyways. But yeah, lots of classics in here. In my first video, I showed playing Donkey Kong, and Donkey Kong is I had just recently again played a real Donkey Kong cabinet, and yeah, I do remember it was a little bit shorter. I could see the top of it. I kind of had to hunch over a little bit on it, but yeah. Again, this was kind of the main room for sure, and now with room 2, the 2nd floor. The way they call them floors, it almost makes you think it's different floors, but it's not really. They're more like rooms or just different arcades. That could be a different location in general, but yeah, lots of atmosphere. Again, the attention to detail And the fact, again, this is mostly one person with help from a few others. Again, if you're interested in that, check out the Discord. And again, if you want to check this out, again, it's a free download. There's nothing else to install. It's all standalone. It is a standalone exe. You just run it, and this is what you get. Again, got to have the ROM files in the corresponding folder if you want to actually play the games. And you'll need some kind of a controller for that. Again, I'm just using an Xbox controller for this, and it works fine. But like I said, if you really get into this and you really want to play these games, having some sort of like an arcade stick set up with like a real arcade buttons would be really cool if you could have that set up and walk up to a cabinet and then feel the joystick and the buttons. That'd be pretty surreal. But as it is, very, very cool. Again, if you got a compatible VR headset, check it out. It's about an 11 gigabyte download. Not sure how big it is once it's uncompressed, so it's not small. You will need some free storage space, and I don't remember what the requirements are for it, but it's not as demanding as you might think. Looking at this, I think if you have a decent GPU, you should be okay. I think they recommend 32 gigs of RAM, if I recall correctly. But yeah, just to be able to stand here and look around and see this in 3D at the right scale, surrounded by the sounds. If you got headphones on, really immerse yourself there. And yeah, and you can walk up and play them. Very cool. So yeah, again, link in the description. Check it out. That's it. See you guys later.